Hey, hey, hey. Hello, everyone, and welcome to this edition of Office Hours with Lanora. I'm Lanora. Thank you for joining me on today. This episode of Office Hours with Lanora centers around the changes to the PSI AMP, quote unquote, the Proctor for the state, changes to the licensing exam that I think you should know. First, I'd like to start with the 3 reasons why Office Hours with Lanora even exist. The first reason is to help anyone that's seeking information to begin a real estate career get that information. The second reason is for anyone who's currently taking a pre-licensing course, for them to help them pass that course on a first attempt. And third is for anyone that is currently already a real estate professional. I want to help you stay in the industry. So let's get started, because actually this topic is going to cover all 3 license types, from the residential leasing agent to the broker to the managing broker course, those types of exams. So the first change that I need you to know is the Proctor for the state, PSI. Also, the designated testing proctor is AMP, Applied Measurement Professional, for the state of Illinois. So anytime you're registering for a state and national licensing exam, you will schedule that exam through them, okay? There has been a few changes, let's say since about, actually one of the changes started in 2020. But more of the changes occurred as of October 16th of last year, October 16th, 2021. So the first change is the exam fee itself. It went up. So what used to be $35 for the residential leasing agent exam is now $37. For the broker exam, it used to be $55. It's now $58. And the same thing for the managing broker exam, $58 versus $55. So the fees went up slightly. Keep in mind, you get 4 attempts to pass your licensing exam, but you paid for each attempt. So if you were to take a residential leasing agent exam today, you would pay $37. For a broker or a managing broker exam, that fee is now $58, okay? That's one of the changes. The second change is the actual pass rate. So for some of you, the test itself for brokers and for leasing agents did not change. The test itself is still the same. For example, for the broker test, there are 11 sections for the national portion of the exam. And then there are 3 sections for the state portion of the exam. And I'll go over the 11 sections really quickly. If you need to know more about these, you know what to do. Schedule a time with me, or give me a jingle, or send an email. I'll be kind enough to send those out to you. But the 11 sections for national include property ownership, land and use controls and regulations, valuations and market analysis, financing, general principles of agency, property disclosures, contracts, leasing and property management, transfer of title, practice of real estate, and the real estate calculations. All 11 of those make up the national section for the broker's test. The state portion would include 3 sections: licensing requirements, laws and rules regulating real estate practice, and disclosures. Okay, so those are the 3 sections. So altogether, you got 14 different sections for the broker test. The managing broker test changed drastically. What used to be scenario-based is no longer scenario-based. It is 100 questions for the national portion and 40 questions for the state portion of the test. So the managing broker licensing exam now mimics the format of the broker. They both have 100 questions for the national portion and 40 questions for the state portion. The difference is how they're scored. So I'm going to really look down and read this because it's kind of complicated, to be honest with you, but I get it. For the broker, well, let's start with the leasing agents. For the residential leasing agents, the licensing exam is 50 questions. And out of the 50 questions, you'll have 120 minutes to answer 50 questions. You need to score a 74% to pass the licensing exam for residential leasing agents. Okay, for the broker pre-licensing, the broker licensing exam, again, you have 100 questions for national, 40 questions for state. On the national portion, you need to earn a 70% to pass that portion. On the state portion, you need to earn a 75%. So they both used to be 75%, but for whatever reason, the Illinois Department of Financial and Professional Regulations dropped the percentage. They took 5% off of the national portion. So instead of a 75%, you only need a 70% now, okay? So just do the math. Out of 100 questions, you need to get 70 of them right. Out of the 40 questions for the state, you need to get 30 of them right in order to pass both parts. For the managing broker course, the national portion is now 100 questions. You need to earn a 75% to pass that portion. For the state portion, 40 questions. You need a 75% to pass that one. You'll get a total of 150 minutes for the national portions of the exam, whether it's broker or managing broker, and you'll get 90 minutes for the state portion of the exam, whether it's broker or managing broker. So the major difference between the two, they went down 1 percentage point for the residential leasing agent. What used to be 75% is now 74%. They also went down for the national portion of the broker's licensing exam. What used to be 75% is now 70%. So it should be a little helpful or a little easier to pass now that you don't have the 5% for broker and the 1% for the residential leasing agent to obtain in order to pass. Okay, let's talk more about one of the major changes that took place in 2020. And we changed our book as of, no, actually it was 2021. We changed our book as of September of 2021. And the book that you should be using is the Modern Real Estate Practice in Illinois 10th edition. If you're not using the 10th edition, you're probably not going to pass the test. Only because in the 10th edition, there's been a few changes. The major change is Unit 14. If you have any other edition before Unit 10, before the 10th edition book, if you're using the 9th edition, the 8th edition, 7th, so on and so forth, get rid of it. You're using an outdated book. So the 10th edition, Unit 14 in those other books is completely different. So my advice to you is when studying, make sure you're studying from the 10th edition of this book, because Unit 14, which is the Illinois Real Estate License Law, the act is all different. I'll tell you, there's going to be some areas. It's going to explain the purpose of the Real Estate License Act of 2000. It's going to identify the various categories of licensure. It's going to distinguish between the processes involved in sponsoring broker, sponsoring and terminating a license. It's going to explain the statutory duties of the agency relationship. And it's also going to describe the actions that result in discipline against a licensee. So if you're studying from a book other than the 10th edition, this area alone will probably make or break the test for you, in my opinion. I want to make sure that you're studying the right materials. So make sure, again, I'm reinforcing that it's the 10th edition. What else did I have? Oh, the exam types. Now, this is the biggest change of them all, because in my 20 years in this business, I have never been able to take an exam this way. So now there are multiple ways, or a couple ways, that you can take the actual licensing exam. Every test that I've ever taken, I've had to go into a testing center, a proctor, a satellite location or whatever, for the proctor of the state to take a test where somebody watched me take that test. You can still do it that way. You can schedule an appointment to go in to take the test. But now, as of October 16th of 2021, we have the ability to schedule our appointment and take the test from the comfort of our home if you want to. Here's Lenora's opinion about that. It is not the opinion of the Realtors Real Estate School or the Chicago Association of Realtors. Be mindful that when you're taking a test at home, please don't think that you can cheat. Don't think so. To me, it feels like it's harder. It's harder to get the test done that way. I have not talked to a person since October 16th, and today is February the 9th, that has passed the licensing exam from home. I don't talk to everybody, but everybody that I have talked to that scheduled this exam and took it from home, they have not been successful, okay? Let me tell you some of the stories that I heard and what I've learned from the meeting that we had with IDFPR, PSI, and AMP last year. You're going to scan your room, literally, whether you're using your laptop or a desktop, some way, somehow, you're going to scan the ceiling, the floor, all four walls, because they have to make sure that you're not in an area where you can cheat, that there's no one in the room with you. There's some other things that they just won't allow when you're taking this test from the comfort of your home. And I'll read some to you. These are called protocols for remote online proctored exams. You cannot do the following: temporarily moving out of the camera's line of sight. So they put you in this box, in a sense. Like I'm in the camera right now. If I were to do this, my test is over. Because I could be over here looking at an answer, or somebody's feeding me the answer. If I do anything like this, where I come out of the box, my test is over. You've got to pay another fee to take another test. Okay? Candidates are not allowed to have scratch paper. That's huge for math problems. What if I have thought about all of my terms or formulas or something of that nature? In the testing center, you'll get scratch paper. I may have it up here so that as soon as I sit down, we are teaching our students this, write down those formulas, get it out of your head, whatever you can remember on that scratch paper. If you're taking this test from home, you cannot have scratch paper. What if you can't jot down the formula to carry to one, or remembering to round up for the transfer stamp? Another thing, you can't use your own calculator. You have to use the calculator that's on the computer. I don't know about y'all, but I don't like that little calculator on the computer. So keep that in mind. You have to keep your hands on top of the desk. They have to see your hands. You have to keep your eyes on the computer screen. I can't look down like I'm doing right now. It voids my test. I've got to stay here focused, okay? No fidgeting during the exam. Keeping hands away from your face. I could have written 5 different answers in my hand and keep doing this, looking at the answers, okay? So candidates may not change computers during the exam. The internet service must be sufficient to administer the exam. So I have Xfinity. If Xfinity decided that they wanted to do a rolling blackout and my computer goes off at the time that I've scheduled the exam and I received no prior notice that Xfinity was going to shut my internet off during that test time, I failed the exam. I have to start over and pay for another one. And if I'm on my 4th attempt, now I have to take the entire course over. Okay, so be careful when you're scheduling the exams, because you want to be or be in the best position to pass. So if that means you mask up, double mask up, put gloves on, whatever the case may be, and go into a testing center, your chances might be better that way. I had a lady that I talked to on the phone. She had a hearing aid, and I think I saw that on here somewhere too about hearing aids. She had a hearing aid in her ear, and she did not disclose that to them prior taking the test. And they thought that it was an AirPod. Somebody's actually watching you. They thought it was the proctor for the state thought it was an AirPod, and they shut her test off. So it does say, please be reminded that earbuds, earphones, hats, caps, hoods, shades, or anything that can be placed on the head or face is not allowed. Food, drinks, or breaks are not allowed. Candidates are not allowed to have scratch paper, like I said. You must keep both of your hands above the desktop. Please do your best to avoid covering your mouth for the whole duration of the exam. So the process of taking it from home is strict. It's very strict. So be careful when you're doing that, when scheduling your exam. That's really all that I have for the recent changes. Percentages in terms of the pass rate change, the exam fees for the three types of licensing exams have changed. Unit 14 in any other edition other than the 10th edition is now different. It's now different. And of course, taking the test either in person or remote online proctored exam. Those are the major changes of this test, all for the residential leasing agent, the broker, and the managing broker. So I hope you've heard my advice, take my suggestions, as well as I want you to pass on the first attempt. So let me know how you're doing, how that's going. We'll have some classes starting over at the Realtors Real Estate School next week. My morning sessions, Monday, Wednesday, Thursday, 9 a.m. until 12:45 will take place on those days for starting Valentine's Day. Y'all know Valentine's Day is next Monday. Make sure you get your chocolates. It might be a little higher this year, but make sure you go get it. But starting February 14th, classes for mornings will start. And then what do we have coming up? In-person sessions, again, will start March 7th. So the weeks of March 7th through March 18th, in person downtown at 430 North Michigan Avenue. Please be advised, as of today, I know the governor will be talking soon about maybe possible mandate changes. But as of today, you will need to provide a vaccination status for any in-person classes. You need to show proof of being fully vaccinated, or you will need to show proof of being taking a COVID exam and it being negative every 72 hours that you're in our facilities or any events. So that's all I have for now, people. I hope it's been helpful. I'll see you back here on the next episode of Office Hours with Lanora. Go out and be a change maker today. Okay? Ta-ta for now. Bye-bye.